Good morning everyone and welcome to Discover Your Future at Knowsley Safari. We are really excited to have you with us today for this special careers event. Today is all about exploring the amazing jobs and pathways at Knowsley Safari. Some roles involve working directly with the animals, which is really exciting, but there are also lots of other opportunities including education, conservation, marketing, retail, food and drink, maintenance and so many more. This means there really is something for everyone. It's great to see so many people joining us today. Whether you're a young person thinking about your future, a parent or carer supporting someone with their next steps, or a teacher or careers professional helping young people explore options, you are all very welcome. This event is part of a social value project with St Helens Borough Council, delivered in partnership with Elevate, CJ Founds Associates and Thrive. Together, we are working to create inclusive opportunities and raise aspirations for young people across the borough, especially those with diverse needs or who may be at risk of becoming NEET. Today's session is designed to be supportive, welcoming and inspiring. You'll hear directly from the Knowsley staff about the different jobs that are on offer, the pathways into those roles and how they support people of all abilities to thrive at work. We'll also be focusing on inclusion and the adjustments that can be made to help everyone have the chance to succeed. There'll be plenty of chances to ask questions too. You can send these in during the session and we also have some questions that have been sent in already that I will ask the panel today. Before we meet our panel, we're going to watch a short video that gives you a glimpse of Knowsley Safari and the people who work here. So sit back, enjoy and start thinking about the questions you might like to ask.
Hi, my name's Helena Berry. I'm Head of Marketing Sales here at Knowsley Safari. Knowsley Safari is home to over 500 animals and we have one of the longest safari drives in the UK. That's the part of the park where we drive through and see different animals, so it's home to our crash of rhinos. We've also got our lion pride up there as well, lots of antelope species and our very friendly camels as well. So Knowsley Safari isn't just about the animals, obviously it's all about the people we work with as well, and I think as an employer we really care about people feeling valued, people having the space to explore what they're interested in and succeed in no matter what they want to do in their career. I think for me personally, obviously us as an organisation, diversity and inclusion is really important because actually everyone has different ideas and they bring different things to the table, and I think especially working in a role like this where it's a very busy company, we have lots of stuff going on, actually everyone's got a different input to bring, and that's where you get successful teams forming and the opportunity to collaborate.
Hi, my name's Ben, I'm the school supervisor here at Knowsley Safari.
Hello, I'm Ellie and I am the head sea lion trainer here at Knowsley Safari.
My name is Paul Thompson and I am the Safari Operations Manager here at Knowsley.
My name is Beth and my job role here at Knowsley is I am the RSRN Community Engagement Officer, and the RSRN stands for the Red Squirrel Recovery Network. So that is my job role here.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm one of the senior carnival keepers here at Knowsley Safari.
My favourite part of my job is getting to come and work in such a wonderful place every day where something different happens every day. There's different animals to see, there's births, and then I also get to teach children all about how awesome these animals are and hopefully inspire future generations of conservationists.
Do you know what? I've been here a long time and I love being at Knowsley. I love the people that work here, I love the people that come here, but these three are my pride and joy. I share every success with them and we share every failure and we work our way through all our problems. These three, they're everything. They're what gets me up in the morning and they're what keeps me awake at night as well.
I've only been Knowsley at just 3 months, so very, very short career here. I think probably I'm most proud of is that I was part of the wider team that's helped deliver our Christmas event, Enchanted, in December just gone. So it was still very new to the business, still learning lots and lots, but it was a really successful campaign this year, and it was a collaboration of all of our, all departments across Knowsley, and I'm probably most proud to be part of that in my first one here.
One of my favourite standout moments from my previous role would have been when we got to launch the NHS Staff Away Days to improve staff mental health and wellbeing in the local community of NHS staff, so they come on site and do some mental health and wellbeing programme with us, and that was really nice for them to have a staff away day, and I was there on the launch day of that, so that was really positive. I would say that my positive now is to progress into this kind of career that I've got now, so obviously I've just switched job roles, and I would say that a success for me was being successful in getting this conservation job, which I'm really looking forward to getting properly stuck into, and just being able to connect communities to nature and promote mental health and wellbeing, because I really liked the whole talking about the fact that wellbeing can really be affected by being out in nature, and I want to be able to connect people to nature.
Easily one of my highlights of my career is the cubs right behind me. Seeing them grow up from birth to 6 months old as they are now has been a proper privilege, and yeah, I've never experienced anything like it, so it's a real highlight.
Amazing.
Okay, so now that you have had a brief introduction to some of what's on offer here, let's meet today's panel. So Matthew, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your job?
My name's Matthew. I'm a member here at Knowsley on the carnivore team. My role at the park is looking after the any of the carnivores, any of the animals under our care: lions, tigers, bears, baboons, and down to the meerkats and bush dogs.
Brilliant, thank you. And Amy, could you tell us a bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, I'm brands and content manager, so I'm responsible for making sure we talk about ourselves in the correct way, promoting the safari, and then any content that you see online, on our socials or out in the press, I'm responsible for making sure that gets created and then spread as far and wide as we can.
Brilliant, thank you. And Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm a maintenance manager here at Knowsley. I've been here for 25 years, so quite a long time. I'm primarily responsible. We have 12 fairground rides, which that's my main responsibility, is looking after them, making sure that they're safe and working. But also we get right around the park into all the different areas, working with the animal team, doing jobs for them. It could be reactionary maintenance or planned maintenance, but quite literally anything could happen on any given day, so we have to be ready to react and fix what we need to.
Brilliant, thank you. And finally over to Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm part of the schools team, part of the education team here at Knowsley Safari. My main responsibility is teaching children of all different ages, whether they come to visit us here at the park or we go out to visit them in our winter period. But we also cover lots of other things such as guest engagement, animal experiences, kids clubs, anything that's to do with education. That's my role.
Brilliant, thank you. So let's find out then, what is the best thing about your job, Matthew? What do you enjoy most?
I think the best thing is quite a simple one, is getting to work with such incredible species from all over the world. So we've got the Emma tiger, an incredible species, Andean bears, African lions, baboons, bush dogs, meerkats, all great animals in their own right, and just love working with them.
And you have some new babies, I believe.
Yes, and that again is part of why it's such an amazing job, is that we're able to work with these animals, help with the conservation, and they're baby animals, you know, absolutely adorable. Love working with them.
Brilliant. And Amy, what's your favourite thing about your job?
Getting to tell the stories that happen at the safari. So, like you just mentioned, the baby tigers, the cubs. I often pinch myself that is my job, to go stand there and film them and then sit there for hours and edit footage of them. But capturing the really special moments, like obviously them being born and how that's such a milestone for the species and their conservation, and then translating that into stories that we get to share with the public. So it's no 2 days are the same, so it's really exciting to see what happens, jump straight on it, and then transform it into stories.
Thank you. And Paul, you're like an emergency service here as well as all the planned maintenance. Have you got a favourite part of your job?
Yeah, well, again, just touching on what the others said, for me, it's the variety and the unpredictability, and you can have an entire day's work planned and then something happens in the morning and that goes out the window and you have to react, and then something else happens. And like I say, I mean, I've been here for 25 years now. I've been really lucky to be involved in a lot of stuff that I never ever thought that would ever happen for me, like working with the animal team in various animal moves, for example. We help move when one of the tigers left. So even though I'm not directly responsible for animal care in itself, we still get involved in that. So I would definitely say the variety is, for me, what it is. Like I say, no 2 days are the same. You just don't know what's going to happen next.
Brilliant. And Amy, your favourite aspect?
Again, echoing the variety, no 2 days are the same. You never quite know what you're going to come into. I mean, in education, we sort of know our plans in advance of who's teaching what and who's doing what, but sometimes you can come in and that goes out the window because things have changed. So it's always a big variety. But I'd say working with the kids is probably my favourite part, regardless of whether it's school groups here, out at their school, kids clubs. It's very interesting working with kids because you never quite know what they're going to say, what questions they're going to have, what their interests are going to be. And it's always exciting to basically be helping to bring up the next generation of educators, keepers, maintenance staff, marketing. Just you never know who they're going to be and whether they're going to end up here in the future.
Brilliant. Okay, so I've got to ask about the worst aspects of everybody's jobs. I'm going to guess a bit at Matthew's, but we might be surprised by the answer. What's the worst part of your job, Matthew?
So it's the worst at the start, but it is something you do get used to, is obviously the smell. Working with all these animals, and sometimes the amount of animals inside the houses, it can be quite a powerful and potent smell, but it is something you do get used to.
Are you talking about the poo?
I'm talking about the poo, yes. The animal waste and dealing with that, making sure that the enclosures and the houses are all nice and clean on a daily basis. So because it's something we do every single day, it is something you do really get used to. Another part would be obviously we have to do our jobs every day, regardless of the weather. So be it rain or shine, snow, high winds, cold temperatures, we're out there, we're doing the jobs that are needed to be done, and it takes as long as it takes. So if you're out for hours at a time in the enclosures, making sure that they're safe, that whatever you're working on is completed so that the animals are safe, the public's safe, and we are safe, it takes as long as it takes. So it's quite a physical, arduous job at times, but the reward is going back to, again, is we get to work with these species on a daily basis. So even though it is tough work, the reward is always worth it.
No matter how smelly they are.
No matter how smelly they are, no.
And I have to ask, because I know you're wondering as well as I am, what happens to all of the poo at the end of the day?
So we have to follow legislation with how it's disposed of. We do have a site on site where we sort it. What happens to the majority of it, if it's not able to be reused, it is incinerated and disposed of. But a lot of it can be reused for fertilizer. So we do, where possible and where able, it can be reused as fertilizer, be it the rhino poo, giraffe poo.
So the local farmers must love you guys then.
Oh yeah, I believe so.
And Amy, is there a bad part to your job? Is there something, what would be the worst bit?
I guess like balancing creativity with the right message. Obviously, we're dealing with live animals and their welfare is paramount. That's the most important thing. So we can come up with big, grand, crazy ideas and, have these big pie-in-the-sky goals that we want to do, but ultimately the most important thing is making sure that the animals are safe and well cared for. So it's about balancing, getting the story across and getting our messaging across in a creative way that is fun, engaging, enjoyable to watch, enjoyable to read, but also is absolutely keeping the animals safe and their welfare as the main priority.
Key message, yeah, brilliant. And Paul, what about yourself?
To be honest with you, I don't really think there is a particularly bad part about it, other than what Matt said with the weather, particularly this time of year now, just after Christmas and that. It does get cold, windy, wet, snowy, everything else in between. And like you say, if there's a job to be done, we're out in it. There's no choice. Oh, I might do that tomorrow. Could put that off for a little bit. You are just out in it. But other than the weather, I don't think that there's anything that I find particularly bad, really. Like, it's I do really feel really privileged to work here, and I think I've been particularly lucky certainly over my career. But I'd say the weather, that is definitely one downside to it. But on the flip side, when it's a summer, it's great, happy days. So you got to literally swings and roundabouts. So yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And Amy?
Yeah, I would say, again, similar, it's probably the weather. I don't think there really is a bad part to my job. I love every aspect of it. But definitely when you've got a group of reception children coming in for our Wild and Well sessions, which take place down in the woodlands, and it's absolutely pouring with rain on a really, really cold January day. Yeah, there's times I go, I really wish I didn't have to go out right now, but, and you just put your coat on, you put your hat on, you put on your brave face, and you go, come on, we're going to go get muddy and wet and all the things that maybe you shouldn't do on a cold, wet day. But they're reception kids, so they absolutely love it. And it's amazing to watch them just be so excited about being out in nature, and it makes the cold and the wet worth it.
Brilliant. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a quick summary of what a typical day for you guys would be like, so that everyone watching can understand sort of when you get here and you arrive, what sort of tasks and jobs you might have throughout the day. We'll just keep going in the same. We'll start with Matthew.
Okay. So a typical day on the animal team, and this is not just the carnivores but the ungulates as well, all of our animals will start with a visual inspection. We've got to go and get eyes on all our animals, make sure everyone's accounted for, the enclosures are all still secure. For example, say we've had bad weather the day before, we've got to go out and make sure everything's safe. So before we start our day, start our cleans, start our feeds, we do a visual inspection of everything, make sure everything's secure, everything's well, and then we proceed to the cleans. And each animal has a different routine, so it depends a lot on what you're working for. But essentially it goes, we feed them, we clean them, and... Oh, lost track there.
That's okay, you can have a moment to think.
Yeah, when we come in, we do the cleans, we do the feed, but as I said, each animal's routine is different, and we do try follow the routine as well for the animal's welfare. It's something that they're used to. We try not change things up too much. And then once we've finished our morning cleans and our morning feeds, we have a window where we can get odd jobs done, maybe make some enrichment for them, maybe do some additional training with the animals. And then once that's done, we'll start closing down for the day. And again, that comes down to going around all the sections again, checking all our animals, make sure they're okay for the night, giving them their afternoon feeds, and then doing one last safety sweep, making sure everything that's locked is locked, that everything's where it's supposed to be stays there. And then at that point, we're happy to move on, leave them overnight, and then come in and do the same again tomorrow.
Brilliant, thank you. And Amy, what's your day like?
No 2 days are the same. So some days I'm sat at my desk all day and I'll be writing or editing or planning for the month ahead. And then other days I'll randomly get a call that an animal has arrived, or something exciting is happening on the drive, or the cubs have been given some special enrichment, and I just need to run out with my camera and start filming. There's a lot of planning involved, but then there is those exciting moments where you just kind of have to spring into action and start filming and then creating the story.
Brilliant, thank you.
Can I add one more thing? It's just on the same. It's on the same, and I keep keep forgetting to mention it. But what I've explained earlier was just what would a typical day be. But to echo that is no 2 days can be the same, and we do have to just be ready for whatever surprises they have thrown at us. And be able to adapt in that moment and deal with that situation. For example, if we're waiting for cubs and the cubs finally arrived, we have to completely change our daily routine to adapt to that. We will have talks beforehand, but all of a sudden we have to now change and adapt to that situation. So while we do have a daily routine, there is the chance no 2 days are the same, and we've got to be ready as well to just change with the day, adapt to it, while also being in that safe parameter, making sure that checks and everything are done, and then deal with whatever needs to be done.
Brilliant, thank you. Paul, what's your typical day like?
Yeah, so basically we come in the morning and then we do daily inspections on the fairground. So we've got 12 small juvenile rides here, but obviously they have to be inspected every day, make sure that they're safe. We've got like a checklist that we need to follow, make sure everything's as it should be. And then we would have to obviously document that and make any repairs necessary before they were open to the general public. And then after the rides are ready and open and running, we then have a list of other jobs that we could potentially potentially do that. They'd be like planned jobs. So we get like a list of jobs from the animal team, for example, or any department really. And we'd obviously try and work through the planned jobs. But again, like as obviously we've echoed on before, you know, something could potentially go wrong on section and we have to just drop what we're doing and go and sort that right away. You know, it could be some, you know, certainly a higher priority than the planned stuff that we've got in. So a lot of it is reacting to stuff as it's happening on a day-to-day basis. But then if everything was okay, we'd be working through jobs that we would have already planned in. So again, it's just about being flexible and prioritising the workload and prioritising what the most important thing is. Again, it's about keeping the general public safe and keeping the animals safe, keeping the keepers safe, keeping everybody safe. That's the main things for us, really. So yeah, we again, like I say, we would have a day plan, but that could all change literally on a minute's notice, depending on what happens and, you know, what could potentially go wrong on a day-to-day basis.
And Amy? Holly, sorry, I keep saying Amy. Holly. And Holly?
Again, echoing what everybody said, I think one of the biggest parts of our job is, of any job in the safari, is being reactive to what each day brings. As much as we might have a plan set in place for, oh, well, I'm doing this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, every moment that you come into work, you're going, right, has anything changed? Are we still on that plan, or do I need to react to something as something changed? Even something as simple as, you know, somebody being off ill or something like that. You've got things that you then need to cover, small or big. So it's being very reactive to what is coming up on any given day. But a typical day for me on term time, so when the kids are in school, would generally look like coming in and doing some of our emails and our admin tasks, maybe development for new sessions that we're planning, then booking in the coaches as they arrive in the minibuses, letting them know how their day is going to look, making sure they're aware of where they're going to be at any given time for any sessions, and then running those sessions throughout the day. We might have both morning and afternoon, and that could be anything from jumping on a guided tour to taking them into a classroom to do a session, going out into the woodland, as I mentioned, going out on the foot safari for a foot safari tour, and doing that sort of till about 2:30 when they generally leave to go back to school, and then going back up and doing more admin and more development work for other sessions we're planning. Half term, so out of term time, like this week, it could be coming in and doing a series of animal experiences for guests, and then in the afternoon going out onto the foot safari to engage with the guests who are coming into the park, whether that's on guest engagement, doing animal talks, other planned experiences and things that we've got. So it is quite varied on any given day. Yeah.
So we're going to move on to what skills and qualities you think is important for your job role. I'm getting the theme of flexibility in every job role at Knowsley. But again, starting with Matthew, what sort of skills and qualities do people need to be part of the animal team?
So flexibility is one of them. Obviously, working on the animal department, one of the most important ones would be knowledge of animals. Obviously, that is a huge topic to cover, but it is able to, you know, you can get the basics. Getting the knowledge of your animals, you know, would be the most important starting point for working with us, is just knowing your animals. There is a lot you can learn on the job. There's a lot you learn from just observing the animals you're working with that you may not have read in a book before. And then there'll obviously be more experienced members of staff who will be able to talk you through what you're seeing. So knowledge of the animals, obviously, probably one of the most important. And then after that is you will be working with a lot of other people who have different favourite animals, different priorities on the team. And so it's just being able to work with them. So teamwork skills are quite important because you are working as part of a team. We do move around and work with different animals on a daily basis. So I might be working with our primates, the baboons, one day, and then I'll be down working with the lions the next. And so the way I work with the lions and the way I work with the baboons might be different slightly to someone else, but being able to communicate those differences and work together is very important so that you're not conflicting, you are working together and you're building off each other's skills and knowledge of the animals, because I might know a lot about the baboons, but I might not know as much about lions as my colleague. So we share our knowledge together and we work together as a team. So teamwork in the animal industry, very important. And then just a good work ethic. As we've said before, we are out in the rain or shine. It is quite an arduous thing. You're moving hay bales, straw bales, bags of feed. You know, we are doing quite a tough job. So having a good work ethic, being able to just stick to it and crack on is very important to be part of the team. You know, you don't want to be the one trailing behind, making everyone else carry the load a bit more. You know, again, teamwork, having that good work ethic, very important on the animal team. But all of that, again, is knowledge of animals and knowledge of what we're working with and what each individual species needs to have good welfare.
And you said the animals like to sort of stick with their routine. So would you say timekeeping is quite important so that the animals are fed?
Oh yeah, timekeeping is very important because especially on other sections. So for example, the baboons, if you're with them that day, you're just working with them. But if you're down with our foot safari, you're working with the meerkats, the bush dogs, the bears, the tigers. So they all need just as much care as each of them. But you've got to manage your time because you've only got so much time in the day. So you've got to be on it. And so yeah, time management is very important.
Brilliant, thank you. Amy?
Marketing's a bit of a mixed bag, really. So obviously within marketing, there's various different roles. And you could specialise in any of those things or put a bit more focus on some things. Like we have team members who are managing the website, managing the app. So they've obviously got a lot more technical skill. And then we've got team members who are content creators. So they're great with a camera. They know what angles to get, how to really storyboard something and pull it together so it's got a nice narrative. And then we've got like graphic designers and things like that. But I think the most important thing is obviously creativity. You need to be able to really look ahead, plan ahead, know what's coming up for the year, where we're going to have our important campaigns, events, stories. And I think for me, which sounds like a bit of a departure from marketing, but we are at a safari, the thing I look for the most is a love of animals, because I just think without that, the story doesn't translate as well. I think you can really tell when someone is talking about the animals or representing the animals at a place from admiration and love rather than a technicality. So I think even with all the, the skills and the fine home things, having a love of animals in our team is just really, really important to us.
Definitely, and you can tell that from all of you. You're so passionate. Now, Paul, you talked about having to be able to prioritise, and you have a very varied and wonderful day. What other skills and qualities would you suggest are suitable for your role?
Yeah, so again, like, as we obviously said before, flexibility, because obviously the ability to react to situations as they're happening. But yeah, being really good at planning, timekeeping, similar to what Matt said before. We might have like time-specific jobs that need to be done by a certain time. For example, like the rides need to be open to the public at 11 o'clock, so we know we've got to get them all inspected and get them repaired, greased, any servicing that needs doing before that time. So we've got a relatively small team, so again, like reliability, knowing that we can all like count on each other. But yeah, just I think like a good work ethic, planning your day. I mean, like I say, there's so many different skills that you need. I can't really pinpoint it down to one, but I would say if you've got a good work ethic, that's half the battle. And then obviously, you're all pulling in the same direction. It's so much easier when everybody's pulling together and everybody knows their role. And like I say, we've got 4 in my team, and we've all got like our strengths and weaknesses. So somebody might be better at a certain job, so we'll allocate that to them or whatever. But yeah, again, like I say, just echoing what everybody else has said, I think a real desire to work and pull together for the team and get it done. And also, like, really important for us is doing it in a safe manner. So not only are we safe, but the public's safe, the keepers, the animals. That's really my main priorities.
And Holly, you have different roles depending on whether you've got students in or working with the animals. So what mixture of skills and qualities would you have?
I would say there's a lot of different skills and qualities that are needed. Just echoing some that others have said, like teamwork. Obviously, we work together as a team. We need to be able to sort of look at our day and maybe go, okay, well, I'm now not doing that because this coach has turned up without a microphone, so I'll take that off you so that you've got something a bit less to do, or you can go and do this other thing, or I'll go and jump on that. So working together as a team, but similarly also being able to work independently. So when we go out to schools, obviously when we're teaching, we aren't necessarily doing that as a duo, we're doing that on our own. So you also need to be able to just go, right, I'm going off to this school, I'll be there all day, I'll see you guys later, and just grab what you need and go and know what you're doing and do it. I'd say, again, flexibility, as we've all mentioned, we need to be able to react to different things that are going on, and be able to, again, link into teamwork, pull together and go, right, I'm going to do this, you do that. But I'd say the main four, I think, in my mind anyway, is being a really good communicator and being a really good people person. Obviously, we're a very people-focused role, both when we're with school groups, but also, as I mentioned, in sort of half-term and weekends when we're out on the foot safari with the general public. We need to be able to be really great at not only communicating to them the messages we're wanting to get across about animal welfare and conservation, but also generally just making their experience an amazing one, whether it's something as simple as pointing them in the right directions of the capybaras and telling them what their names are and going, if you spot them, say hi, and just making their experience that little bit more wonderful. Within that, obviously being a good communicator, we need to be able to get across the messages that we're wanting to tell, whether it's a school session that is sort of more rigid in its conception, or whether it's just somebody asking questions. We need to be able to communicate effectively. But also, like Amy said, a love of animals. You can be the best communicator in the world, but if you're telling a group of kids, giraffes have 7 bones in their neck, and that's how you're speaking to them, they're not going to get it across as much as if you're going, and giraffes have 7 bones in their neck. It's the same number we have. Isn't that amazing? So being really enthusiastic and loving animals as well, and loving what you do. And I think I can speak for my entire team when I say we love what we do. And it definitely comes across when we teach and when we do our talks and stuff, that we love what we do, and we almost can't believe that this is the job that we get to do. Like, I know I can't believe it every time I come here. I'm like, wow, I actually work here. This is ridiculous. So yeah.
Oh, you're making me so jealous. I don't know whose job I want. So, what I'm going to ask next then is, if any of our young people wanted to become any of your roles, what pathway or qualifications would they need to be able to apply for your jobs?
So there's the standard way, which is getting a zoo-related degree from uni. That's usually a start. A lot of zoos will require that as part of their application process, is to have a degree, masters, anything like that. You can do animal studies at college level, work your way up to a full degree level. And it's not just zoology, it could be wildlife conservation. Anything related to the subject is viewed upon as a related qualification. But then a lot of places will be asking for experience, and you can get this through volunteering at local places, doing internships, a lot of volunteering. And my advice would be constantly throwing your name out there. If a job comes up, put your name down. Just because you don't have the experience doesn't mean that somewhere won't give you the chance. If you interview well, you've got the qualifications, you've got the passion and everything that we're looking for. Just because you don't have experience doesn't mean you won't get a chance. But it is a case of just be ready to take the hits, to put your name out there, and to be turned down. But just keep throwing your name out there. I was fortunate. My pathway was more, I've wanted to work at Knowsley ever since I heard about it. I grew up in South Africa. My gran told me about Knowsley. I Googled it about a few weeks before we moved out, and I just went, yeah, I'll work there. Obviously, I didn't have a degree then. I'd worked out in the parks as a guide, so I thought that would be good enough. But then, because I'd set my sights on Knowsley, I looked up what I needed, all of that. Got my degree, but then after that there wasn't a job going, so I took a job on the sea lions as a steward, just anywhere to get my foot in the door at the park, get the park to know me, and you know, make my plans obvious, which is I want to eventually be on the animal team. It took me about 2 years before an opportunity as a seasonal came up, put my name down, managed to get the job, and I've been here 7-8 years now as a carnivore keeper. But that was my pathway, was getting my foot in the door with any job that I can. But that being said, that was backed up with qualifications and some experience out in Africa, working with wild animals, and that's why Knowsley suited me to a T. Is this that it's a safari park, so it's very much my kettle of fish. But yeah, there's many avenues to go for it, but a lot of it is just down to persistence. It is a career of passion. If you want to do it, stick to it. There's going to be, you know, ups and downs. You might get the job you want, you might not, but just keep at it. Keep throwing your name out there. That's my advice. And there's plenty of collections to choose from.
Marketing's, there's a few different avenues to access marketing, and you could go more linear, traditional route, and obviously do like business studies, marketing courses, things like that. For me, I didn't do any of that. I was doing anything creative I could, especially at senior school. So I did a lot of stage design, so I went to a performing arts school. And then I did graphic design, art. I ended up doing English literature because I loved writing as well. At uni, and then it wasn't until I was in uni that I really felt like I wanted a career in marketing. So from there I did some internships at my uni after I'd finished my degree, and they were one was actually in a more data related marketing role, and then one was in a more creative marketing role, and that helped me figure out which side of marketing I loved, which was obviously the creative stuff. And then from then on, I've just progressed through like assistant, executive, up to manager level. But I've always leaned to the more content creation, social media management side of things. So obviously there's a few different avenues and a few different ways you can access it. Like I didn't do any marketing courses or business or anything like that. But what I would say is important is demonstrating skills. So no matter what aspect of marketing you're interested in or trying to get into, being able to demonstrate that you can do those things or that you're learning to do those things. So if it is content creation, just start creating content. Doesn't matter what it's on. And every piece of content you create will be better than the last piece. There's loads of free things out there that you can use, like Canva, and you can sign up to like marketing newsletters to find out what's going on in the world of social media, because that changes every few days. And you can just build up a sort of portfolio, even if it doesn't have a real purpose or it's not, you know, real work that's being undertaken. Just building up a portfolio of content or like dummy websites, things like that, just to show that you can, you know, you do have the skills or can develop those skills and work towards those part of marketing.
Brilliant, thank you. And Paul? Yeah,
so I have a quite an unconventional path, I'd say. So I started back in the year 2000 here, but to be honest with you, I only came for a part-time summer job. I started as a ride operator on the rides, and then that was while I was at college, and then I completed my A-levels, I went to university, but it just wasn't for me, university. I did the first year, but I absolutely hated it. And then a job came up here, full-time job, which I took at the time. And then I've done so much like learning on the job, and particularly like courses. There's so many courses that Knowsley have sent me on. Like, you know, welding, electrician's course, driving a forklift truck, driving a JCB, driving an excavator, chainsaw courses. Absolutely tons and tons and tons of stuff that I've done over the years that I've just obviously built up whilst learning the job as well. So like I say, so while mine was an unconventional path, and to be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the time. But I do feel like I've had lots and lots of opportunities while I've been here to progress and, like I say, to learn new skills and to further myself. And then again, some of the opportunities that I've I've had over the years, particularly some like the experiences where we've been involved with the animal team, and that none of this really, to be honest with you, was planned for me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I do feel like I've been so fortunate, and I think I've got like a good work ethic, and I'm quite motivated to do well. So I do think that a lot of it is down to your attitude and what you can, you know, you can go places that you might not necessarily know exactly what you want to do right now, but if you get your foot in the door somewhere, and you can definitely work your way up through places, and that's pretty much what I've done now. Absolutely love the place. Like I say, worked here 25 years now. Never really had a particularly bad day. I can honestly say that. I just feel particularly lucky to be here, to be honest.
Thank you. And Holly?
Again, I've had a bit of an unconventional pathway myself. I'd say for our department as a whole, everybody's kind of got their own story. So there's lots of different ways to get into education. Some of my team have got backgrounds in education, so in being teachers. Others have got backgrounds in animal welfare and animal care. For me, myself, I did neither of those. I actually trained wanting to work in media, so basically doing Amy's job, and in events, and that was kind of what I wanted to do. I'm a very creative person, and I was like, oh yeah, I love the idea of just social media and creating things and creating content and working in events, and I went to uni for that, and it didn't work out how I planned, which, you know, that's life sometimes, and I ended up moving back up here from London, not really sure what I wanted to do, but I had some experience in working with children and working with school groups through another job I'd held, and I'd really enjoyed it. I'd really enjoyed teaching them, even if it was an unconventional way of teaching. I'd enjoyed seeing their eyes sort of light up when you told them something new or recommended something to them, and sort of the way you could see them going, oh, I never thought about that. It was something that I never thought about before, but when actually that's really cool, I really like that. And I ended up watching an online webinar about zoo careers because I'd wanted to work with animals when I was a kid and just didn't get the biology grades. And there was a section on education, and I suddenly kind of went, oh, there's education in zoos and safaris. And then it was an obvious thing. I should have known that, but it was like a thing clicked in my head. And I kind of went, oh, that's really cool. I like the idea of doing that. I want to give that a go. And the job at Knowsley had come up, and I just applied thinking, I've not necessarily got the experience, but I'm just going to give it a go. Like we said, I'm going to put my name in the hat and just see what happens. And I got the job, and I've never looked back since. It's been the most amazing almost 2 years so far of my life. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I'd say the big thing that I can say, that like the big advice I can give is just go with what you want to do, follow your passions, because you'll end up getting where you're meant to be. At least that's what I've found. So even if you want to do one thing 1 year and then you want to change to something else, follow your passions and you'll end up finding where you're meant to be. And I think the biggest thing I can say for my job particularly is, again, being a people person, being a good communicator, and just being enthusiastic. The animal specific facts you can learn on the job, and I've learned a lot from my teammates, from my managers, and from the animal team as well. A lot of what I know I've only learned since starting here. So yeah, a lot of that can be taught. The big thing is, can you talk to people, and can you be a talker? Do you like talking? That's kind of the big thing.
I think we can answer yes.
Yeah,
for Holly.
All my teammates know that now. It's like, if Holly starts talking, she won't stop.
Take the mic off her. Oh, well, that is brilliant. So thank you to all of you, and thank you everyone for joining us today. A massive thank you to the wonderful team at Knowsley Safari for sharing your time, your knowledge and your experience. You've truly sold it to me. I will be applying for every job available. We hope today's event has given you some useful insight into the wide variety of careers available here at Knowsley, and different ways to gain that experience if you're interested in a career related to animals.
So going to our questions, one of the first questions we've had is, what skills do Knowsley Safari look for most when recruiting people to the various jobs around Safari?
So it heavily depends on what department it is you're looking to go into, what kind of skills you already have. Essentially from an education perspective, the skills we're sort of looking for are going to be those kind of people skills, those enthusiasm skills. We're going to look for somebody that can speak in a room particularly with children or maybe with adults. It just depends on the type of audience that you're with. And we look for people who have a really kind of conscientious effort in everything that they do. We want somebody that likes what they do and love the animals that are going to be here at the park as well, because that's the main focus of when we're teaching. We want to make sure that people leave with that same passion that we have for the animals. We want to be able to pass that on as well. With other departments, for example, things like the animal team, the real big skills you're going to look for are things that people are of course, that passion for the animals, but you're also going to want people to make sure that they have real good methodology in how they do things, that they have a good understanding of the animals, a good understanding of that welfare and the legislation behind that as well. So the ability to do that research and to do that better understanding of how things run behind the scenes in a safari like ours, that's really important. And then in other various different departments, anything from good communication skills, you always have to make sure that everyone knows what's happening around you and make sure that everyone knows what's going on. And it's also really good to make sure that you've got team building skills, because we're all one big team, we're one big family here at the safari, so it's really important that we all work together to make sure that we're furthering the conservation efforts that we have both here and in the wild, and also doing the best that we can for the animals that we have on site and that we care for here as well.
Brilliant, thank you. So someone has asked about the recruitment process and how that could be adapted to support people who have different or additional needs such as anxiety or communication difficulties. How would Knowsley support someone with those difficulties?
Yeah, we are quite flexible here in the way that we do our interview process. So we have an application form that can be adapted for those that maybe need some adaptations to the particular way that application form is run, the way it is written. We are always more than happy to offer clarification if there are any questions or if there are any confusions about that particular application form as well. The hiring team are always happy in our HR department to help out with that. When it comes to the actual interview process itself, so if you come and have an interview with us for a job here at the park, it very much depends on the type of interview. So for us within the education and the conservation teams, we do a group interview setting. So we have people come in all together and we do some fun icebreaker games, or we do some activities all together just to see how you interact with others and how you get along. That can of course be adapted. We can do it in a space that feels more comfortable to you or feels a little bit less daunting, I think, when you've got a panel sat in front of you and you're being asked to do an activity. We can adapt things so that we can send questions in advance, so we have tasks or activities in advance so people know what they're coming into when they come to do an interview with us, so they can prepare themselves, and we can do everything we can to kind of quell those anxieties or those nerves around a new space. We can also offer visits to the park in advance if they want to come and see the site, if they want to come and familiarise themselves with the building they'll be in, or particularly with the room that they'll be sat in as well. That'll be really quite helpful for some people to do that. And then if there are any other adaptations or things that people know that will help them to do better and perform better and show their best selves in those interviews, that is something that we are more than happy to try and accommodate wherever we can, in any part of any hiring process that we do for any of the roles we've got on site.
Brilliant, thank you. So someone has asked, how do you help new starters to the role feel confident and settled in their job?
Yeah, so that's the most important thing to us here at the park. Once we have a new starter with us, we've got a new recruit, a new member of our Knowsley family. We want to make sure that they feel exactly that way. So normally when we first start off, the first few days will be introductory days for that new starter. They'll come on site, they'll have the opportunity to meet their line manager, have a little kind of informal chat with their team, just so they can get to know them a little bit better. We normally try and organise, in the education team, we always try and organise some sort of little lunch, so we bring snacks in, so that we can all kind of have a little laugh and have a little get to know each other in that first day as well. Obviously the site is so massive as well, and the animals are the main focus of our day. So we do head out onto the foot safari, we show people a little bit more about the animals, a little bit more about the space itself, and introduce maybe to a couple of the jobs that they might be doing. It might be that we're running animal talks that day, so we might be able to see some of the team out and about doing their particular job. I know when you come for an animal interview, the team there will take you out and will show you all of the animals on the safari drive, or all the animals on the section that you might be particularly working on, and that gives you a real good feel for what the site looks like, what the site feels like, and who exactly you'll be working with as you start your new job and your new journey with us here.
Brilliant. And then we've had a question from the school, so it's how can schools and learning providers work with Knowsley Safari to support students into employment?
there are lots of ways that that can be done. So one of the things that we really look for is within the application that we ask people to submit, there is a little section about supporting information. So there's the really boring things, or some people might think is boring, about kind of education or previous jobs and things like that. There's only so much you can say about what you've done or what skills you've got in previous roles, but the supporting information is really the bit where you get to sell yourself, and you get to tell us a little bit more about why it should be particularly you that we hire in that particular role. And so for me, if for schools and learning providers, if they can look at what that particular candidate can put in their supporting information, is it that this particular candidate is really determined and they really kind of set their mind to something and they really do it well? Is it that this particular person is really good with detail, is really observational? All that sort of, those soft skills, those transferable skills are the things that we look for in that supporting information. And if it's written well and it's written with good detail, that is what will give us a good indication of how well suited that particular candidate will be to the role. And that is something that schools and learning providers can help with. Another thing is obviously any sort of learning that they can do within school that is to do with those sort of transferable skills as well. So getting communication skills in the students, getting them to think differently about how they communicate or how others might communicate. Getting to do lots of team building things as well. It's all those real cool, those softer transferable skills that are going to be really useful when they're coming into the world of work. And then it depends on the department that you're looking to go into. Obviously, animal knowledge is a really big one for working in a place like Knowsley, and kind of knowledge of welfare and knowledge of legislation and things that are really important for the hiring process for us to know that we are hiring somebody that understands the world that they're coming to work into as well.
And you have a programme for STEM learners as well?
We do indeed. So we work with some SEND schools around our local area, and they come and do a work skills programme with us. So because we can't offer the traditional type of work experience here, because of the nature of working with animals, we have the work skills programme, and essentially the school groups, the high school groups will come into us and they'll do various different programmes with us. They'll get a taste of each different role that they do here at the park. So we have some days where we'll go and meet the grounds team, we have some days we go and do some keeper jobs, we have some days we come and do some research jobs, we get to do some education jobs, so they get a little bit of a taster of everything that they're going to do, or everything they could do if they were to come and work here at the park in one of those particular roles. We then build a portfolio together of all that work and all the different things that we've done throughout that 6-week programme, and we get a better idea of what soft skills those roles involve, and it gives them a little taste of it to see if any of the students have a particular affinity for grounds work or animal keeping. Then they know from that point on, and they can help tailor themselves and tailor their skills to help better them to get a job in that particular sector in the future.
Brilliant. And do schools apply directly to Knowsley?
They do indeed, yeah. So it's our lovely experiences team that will do that. So it's a VIP team that will do that with the schools in our local area. So we release those dates kind of on a yearly basis of when we can run the work skills programme. It is a paid offering, so it's something that we can support here if that is something that schools need support with as well. So yeah, they can get in touch with our engagement team via the email address that's on our website, and we can offer that to any SEND schools or any schools within the area that think they might benefit from that.
Brilliant, thank you. We have a final question, and this is someone who's obviously very conscientious, looking at how people can help with conservation now, even before they sort of start working in this sort of role.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, we're always looking for little things that we can do, little changes that we can make to help further our conservation effort both here in the UK and abroad. And that starts with, people as young as the primary school children that we teach on site here. So what we very much say is, in terms of local conservation, so things that you can do at home, things that you can do here to help animals in our local area, is essentially just make sure that your space that you're in and the spaces that you're around are suitable for animals. So that might be particularly keeping an eye on the litter, maybe around your school or around your home or around your local area. The less litter there is, the more likely it is that wildlife will be able to inhabit there in a safe space and make themselves known in that space and make a home for themselves. It's also really good to be aware of what habitats those animals might need. It might be that particularly we get lots of hedgehogs here at the park, so we like to make sure that the roadways are safe, so we can make sure that the animals can get from A to B as they feel the need to do so. With the sort of larger, more exotic exotic species that you might find in the more international projects. The biggest thing we can do for them is fundraising, or the biggest thing we can do is awareness. So even down at a local level, if you know that there is a particular animal that you love, so for me, my favourite animals are big cats, things like lions and tigers. So a lot of my awareness work goes towards telling people more about my favourite animals, about why I'm passionate about them, what it is that I can do to help them with the tigers particularly, the Amur tigers that we have here, that we've just had cubs. They're now 7 months old. They're very cute. It's really easy to talk about them and tell people about the deforestation plight that they're facing out in the wild, and how much of a struggle it is for those animals to survive in such a small area out in the Amur forest. And even just talking about them, letting people know what we can do, the little logos they can look out for. So with tigers particularly, it's the FSC logo. You can look for that on paper and wood products, and that helps you to make sure that you're being sustainable with the wood products that you're buying and you're choosing to buy in the shops and things as well. So messaging like that is something that we can do on a kind of school level, or on a local level, on a personal level, just to get that messaging out about conservation, about how important it is. And it starts with us at the end of the day. We have to make sure that we are doing our little bit. And if we all individually work together to do our little bit, it'll make a real big difference in the world as we move forward and protect those animals and protect their habitats for the benefits of future generations.
Brilliant. Nicola, you're just an absolute fountain of knowledge. It is brilliant to talk to you. And I want to thank you and thank everyone on the panel for joining us today. And a thank you to the wonderful team at Knowsley Safari for sharing their time, knowledge and experience. If anything else, I've had a fantastic time to filming this. We hope today's event has given you some useful insight into the wide variety of careers available at Knowsley Safari, and different ways to gain experience if you're interested in a career related to animals. Before we finish, we'd like to remind you that this event forms part of a wider social value project with St Helens Borough Council in partnership with Elevate, CJ Fownes Associates and Thrive. As part of this project, all young people with additional needs from Year 7 and above in the St Helens Borough can have a free licence for the Thrive platform. This is a unique AI-powered app which puts careers exploration into the hands of young people with diverse needs. Access is usually arranged through the school or learning provider, but if you are home educated, we can also arrange your access separately too. We have started reaching out to schools and providers directly, but if you'd like to find out more or arrange access, just visit our website or email hello@thrivecic.org and someone will get back to you. We will be sending out a post-event email to all attendees, so we can follow that up and look out for that in your inbox. And thank you again for being part of today's event. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, as much as we have. Thank you.
Thank you.